What's going on, everybody? This is Al from PlaybookGamer.com, and today I want to talk about create a playbook in Madden, specifically in Madden 2005. Now, the reason I'm selecting Madden 2005, for those who do not see my last post on the community tab last night, I picked an 05 because this was the last game that lets you use your created playbooks in franchise mode. If I'm going to be creating a lot of this stuff, I might as well do it in a game where I know I may be able to use it in the most important mode in this game, which is franchise. The reason why they got rid of that option in 06 and beyond was because of online. EA just did not want people to use custom playbooks in online, so they just removed the feature, which I thought was goofy, but it is what it is. Now, I did mention in that post that this may replace my Madden 07 franchise. I'm not going to delete that file. I can go back to it if I need to. But I can see this being a very long series because, as you know me, I love X's and O's more than anybody else. This is why I still play this stuff. And now I have something that really let me be creative. This will also let me teach better with this. If I want to break down a brand new concept I saw last Saturday against a particular team, it'll be easier if I can at least maybe create it in this mode than try to find it somewhere else, if that makes sense. So today we're just going to give you the basics of the mode, and going forward we can break down specific stuff, any new creations I may have, who knows, but it should be a lot of fun. So here's the main screen. You go to features and you go to create a playbook. Now you could go offense or defense. I think today we could do both. Let's just go ahead and do both, but we'll start off with the offense. I do know the defense, you got a little more flexibility to do things. Now, before we get into an actually creating a playbook, I have to mention this right here. This is the first little quirk of this mode. Is you notice I have existing playbooks right here. I didn't rename them, but it's weird that you actually can't delete these things in the game. You kind of have to do it outside of it. Because right here, there's no option to delete. I can hold down the help button, and like if I selected that, and I wanted to continue to work on it, I can. But if you go to your files, like if you go to load, save, and just go up to load, you go to your memory card, there is no creative playbook section where you could just delete them if you need to. So what you'll have to do is take your disk out of the PlayStation 2, go into your game set, your overall saves, you know what I'm talking about, your browser, I think is what it's called, and you'll have to delete it from there. Now, thankfully, if I'm not mistaken, these particular files do not take up much space at all. Now, I have a 128 megabyte memory card that'll last me forever. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fill it up. So again, don't worry about if these fill up your memory card. You can always take the back row and delete them if needed. Or if you run an emulator, you don't have that problem at all. You got an infinite amount of space. All right, let's go ahead and create a new offensive playbook. You select that, and here are some options that pop up. Your base playbook is what you start out with. Now, the default isn't empty. This is where, if you want to truly start from scratch, this is what I usually like to use. If you select any of these other ones, such as balance, pass heavy, run heavy, possession, West Coast, those will give you template plays and formations. I don't know, like maybe 20 plays or so. But it just kind of depends on what you want to do. For me, it's a little bit easier if I just start from scratch, which is what we're going to do today with empty. Now, the practice team, that's just the team you practice with. We'll go with my favorite team, the Bengals, and we'll select continue. I'll show you a couple other weird quirks about this mode. Nothing fatal by any means, otherwise I probably won't bother running this video. But I do want to mention some of the other little bugaboos that this mode has. But the positives outweigh the negatives, trust me, for me at least. For those who like to create, you'll enjoy this mode for sure. Okay, out of the gate, here are the options you have. You can add plays, you can create a formation, create a play, or preview your playbook. That's when after you create stuff, you can go here and move stuff around. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description below. There is one website that I know of one guy who put a lot of time and effort into this particular mode. And he's got all his creations on there. He even wrote like a 200-page book, which I think is like a rehash of what he put on the site. Most importantly, he put a lot of explanations of what you can and can't do in this particular mode. I reference to it all the time, and you should too. I'll put that on my site eventually. I haven't figured out how to kind of present all this. I'll probably end up putting a lot of my creation stuff in my Google Drive, which I hope you guys are taking advantage of. It's a lot of good. It's an easy way for you guys to get information. But again, I'll try not to forget to put that link below. But like his number one golden rule when creating a new play is to not create a play from scratch, but to use an existing play. The reason we want to do that is because this game does not know how to handle motions and shifts from a formation from scratch. So if we want to create a play, you have to create a formation first. So if we create a formation and just click new, because we have nothing in our playbook yet, here you can move stuff around. The problem is when you move guys around, it just doesn't know how to handle motions and shifts. And the last thing we want is an illegal formation. You got to have 7 men on the line at all times. As you can see, this is the default I formation normal set. You got a receiver on the left, you got your 5 offensive linemen, and you got a tight end. That is 7 guys. Now, you hit left or right to go between players to move them around if needed. Now, say I want to move this tight end off the line. I want to do like a Y offset. I'm going to select that tight end, and I want to move him back 1 slot, which is, I think, like 2.5 yards or whatever. But either way, we'll look at that in the route section. And I'm going to place the player, and it tells me who I want to put there. Now, we're going to leave the tight end number 1 right there. Okay, that means I need to put somebody else on the line. So we can go ahead and move this receiver up. And we can leave him as our number 1 receiver. Okay. Now, when you try to test a play and move these guys around, it gets really wonky. And I'm going to show you that a little bit later. But this is the reason why I'm not a fan, and I understand this, why you do not want to create something truly from scratch. It's just a whole lot easier to use an existing formation and an existing play to create from scratch. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're just going to back out. I'm going to click yes. I don't care about that. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to add plays. You go to add plays and it brings up every single playbook in the game. Now you notice on the far right, it says play selected and set selected. Now I misquoted. I told somebody wrong last night in the comment section. I'm sorry about that. I thought you had a lot more plays you can add to a playbook, but it looks like the max you can put in a playbook is 78. Now, I mean, yes, there are plenty of pro-style playbooks and other heavy things that would have 200-plus plays in it. But to be honest, we're talking about a video game here. If you need 78 separate plays to make your offense run, you've probably got too many plays in your playbook. That's just my opinion. If you feel like you need a whole lot more and you don't want to use this mode because you don't want to let you have 78, then, I mean, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. I don't think I'll ever need to use 78. Let's put it that way. Now, it does give you 11 sets to work off of, which is nice. That's more than enough. So what we can do is we want to, like I said before, we want to use an existing formation and play and kind of work off of that. So, for example, say I want I formation normal in my playbook. So we can go, I'm pretty sure that formation is like in every playbook. Let's go to the St. Louis playbook. And what it's going to do is going to bring up every single play in that playbook. And what we're going to do is select a specific play or formation. Now it brings them all up. Now you see here beside every single play, it'll have an R or a P. That's run or pass. And let's go to, there's I formation normal. Now what we can do is we can start off with a run play. Say I want to go with halfback slam. I want to select that. Now what you can do is if you know you're going to use a formation a whole lot and you want a ton of plays in that formation, you may want to add every single play in that formation like this. To me, it just seems easier to start from scratch, but you do have that option. So we can go back to halfback slam. And we're going to back out just by hitting triangle. And we're going to go to create play. Now we got something to work off of. Yes, you could create a formation. It's easier if I go to I formation normal. And I want to go, okay, we can start here. We'll start off with creating the I formation normal plays. Like say we selected our play. We got one play literally in our playbook. So, and it's out of I normal. We'll select I normal, and here it is. Now we have a formation built in that the game knows that the motions and shifts work correctly as is. So as long as if I really needed this formation to have the Z receiver this close to the line or to the rest of the players, I can do that. I can leave him a wide receiver 1. This is what I wanted to do. For example, let's just say this is what I was trying to go for. Okay. Now we're going to select done. I don't want to rename it yet. And now we can go to halfback slam. Say we want to work off this. I like this play, but maybe I want to change something. So we can go halfback slam, and we want to edit a play. You can also rename it, which is pretty cool. You can rename formations and plays. But we're going to go to edit play. Now here's where you could do some really cool things. You can pretty much do whatever you want to with this mode. For the most part, there's some things you can't do. You can't create RPOs and certain quirky things. You could probably find a workaround. And I'll talk about some of the workarounds for some of the specialty plays later. But here, all you do is left and right. You just select any type of player. Like, for example, say I want to do something with this Z receiver besides a normal block. We're going to hit X, and it brings up a ton of options. Now, it actually brings up passing routes. Even though this is a run play, if you feel like you need to throw a route on here, you can. Now, if you think about it, in NCAA Football 06, if you go back and look at the play art, a lot of the run plays have the receivers on streaks and stuff. That actually may be a better idea than doing straight blocking, because if you're going up against a man, that corner on that receiver will follow him all the way down the field. To me, that's just as good as a block as him trying to block him at the line of scrimmage. But I digress. We will talk about the passing routes here in a limit when we try to create a pass play. But I want to go to the blocking section. Okay, now here are some of the blocking options you have with the wide receiver. You got run block, you got pass block, you got lead right, lead left, lead wide right, wide left, off right, off left, outside right, outside left, far right, far left. Really cool. That's a whole lot just for a wide receiver. So maybe I want him to do like a cut block. Let's do it outside left. I kind of like that. If I feel like I need to bounce to the outside, he may be able to do a little crack blocking for me. And what we could do here is say I'm done with it. We can go test a play. You can hit that. Now this may not work. We got a bunch of people on the line. Well, it came out okay. But I like the way he done a little crack block. Now I wish this would let me do instant replay, but it won't let me do it. So from here, we can motion to the left, or we can move our run to the left. Now remember what I said about the motions and shifts. See what it done? It moved our square receiver, which is technically our X receiver, and he done a cut block, which is interesting. So it switched the receiver responsibilities. The only thing I done with this formation was I moved our Z receiver in a little bit more. All the motions should work just fine. Like we can motion him over, and we should still have 7 guys on the line. Our Z receiver still stays off the line. So everything looks correct there to me. So now what we can do is we can motion him back. And I like the crack block he done right there. Pretty slick. And we can get a touchdown. I made this happen on a really low setting. But you get my point here. Now, here's what happens if we switch players off and on the line. Okay? We've already created a play, but say we want to put the Z receiver up on the line and like our tight end off. Okay? Now, we're going to go to create formation, and we would go to our existing I formation normal. And so we would put the Z receiver up top. If I can get to the tight end, and we want to take him off the line. Okay? I don't want to rename it. I want to go back to here, and we're going to go back to slam. We're going to edit the play, and let's test it. Okay? Now we switch roles. Now, here's where you really have to test your motions. Again, this formation by default already had the motions and shifts set perfectly to where you would never have an illegal motion. So if I wanted to motion Johnson over to the left, what's going to happen? You see right here, he is now off the line. Now we only have 6 players on the line. You got to have 7. So if I snap the ball, what's going to happen? I'm going to get flagged for illegal formation. That's why you really got to test this motions and shifts. That's why if you're destined to have like a tight end off the line, you may want to find a formation that already has him off the line. Now, if I wanted to move him, let's see what happens. See, he stays off the line, and I think we're still okay. I think Warwick is on the line. We can, let's see. I think we're still okay. I think we got 7 on the line. But again, now you kind of understand why you need to test these motions. Which is interesting. He moved over that way. So that's just something to think about whenever you move guys around. I wanted to point that out. Okay. Now, we can talk about the pass blocking or all the passing related stuff. Now, well, before we get into that, let's talk about the run one more time. Let's go to our halfback, and you can have him do, we can have him receive a pitch. You can do counter step, shuffle, back step, hop step, delay. Like, say we wanted to do a pitch. I don't know, like off tackle, right? Let's do outside. Let's see what we got. We got a sweep right, sweep left. Let's do a sweep right. Now, does this mean that the quarterback will pitch it correctly? I don't know. This is why you got to test this stuff. And it came out okay, not too bad. I may want to move my fullback over a little bit or have him do a different type of block. Because I can see the football maybe touching the... But no, it actually kind of worked out okay. Not bad. Not bad at all. So, again, it's just stuff you have to test. Now, before we get into the passing stuff, we could talk about other types of blocks. For example, maybe we want to do something with this fullback. Maybe we want him to block and have him do more of an outside block. We could do a lead outside right instead. We can test it. Let's flip it. Let's go here. That looks a little bit better. And here I am just kind of testing on the fly. But now we just turned this into a pitch play. And it didn't take very little effort to do so. Get a block there. Kid's a stud. And we're just going to get down. Okay? So now we can talk about offensive linemen, run blocking. Let's go to this left tackle. I could do a lot of crazy things here. We can go run block. You can do a pass block. Then you got pull left, pull right, screen, left, and right. Say I wanted to do a pull to the right, okay, and we can test the play. I got a lot of guys pulling in one direction. Now, look at the left tackle. Did he block okay? Did it look halfway decent? That's just something you have to think about. Okay, now if I want to run to the right tackle should be pulling. And it seems like the right tackle is kind of a useless player. Seems like he doesn't get around enough. By the time we're pitching, and nothing really works out. Now, that's kind of a goofy concept to have a pulling tackle with a pitch play, but I'm just kind of stating why you have the option to do that if you felt like it. So we could just put him back on a run block. Say we wanted to pull the play side guard. We can have him pulling right. Now we can test it and see what happens. Now we're turning this into a full-blown pitch play. Now we can move it this way. Now we got a whole convoy of guys we can do something with. Now, with the halfback pitch play, the toss play is already in this game, but I was just kind of showing you what you could do with it there. Okay? Now, let's talk about a pass play. I want to work off an existing play. It's just easier. So, let's go back to add plays, and let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals playbook, and we can move some guys around off of that. We can do shotgun or whatnot. I'll tell you what we can do. This may make things a little bit easier to prove another point. Let's go to, see what else we have. I want to go to like single back. There's shotgun. I know there's a single back formation here somewhere. This is single back 4 wide receivers. This could be useful. That's a play action. Okay, we can go ahead and talk about this. In order to create a play action play, start off with a play action play. Otherwise, you really can't create that play action motion if you start from scratch. So again, if you want to create play action, just work off an existing one and then fool around with everybody else. It's just easier that way. Here's another example. You cannot create option routes from scratch. As you see here, on the far left, we got an option route. I can't create that from scratch, but if I wanted to use that, I have to select this play and it'll stay Stay in there. Sorry for the hiccups. We can start off with the basic pass play here. And we can back out. We can go to create a play. Single back, 4 wide, and we can go wide receiver breakout. And we can edit the play. Now, as you can see here, the offensive linemen are in pass block situation. Had to take a swig of water there. And here is where we can talk about the different routes you can do with your receiver. So let's go to our slot receiver right here. We'll go to the pre-existing template routes first. Of course, you can still have him block if you need to. I don't know why you want to do that on the pass. You can if you need to. For screens and stuff, you have that option. But let's talk about, you got your default post, a corner, a streak, a curl, in, out. Those are the template ones. That way you don't have to waste time creating these yourself. Most of the time, people are going to use a custom route. If you need something very specific, for example, maybe you need to create a fade route. And we got a wide receiver on the left, so we want to do a fade route. We can select that, and all you're doing is moving the route around. And then once you are happy with the waypoint, you select the waypoint, and then you continue on with the route however you wish. Say, for example, I want to start like right here. I want to press X, and then it gives me a bunch of options. I can click continue. Continue means that's my waypoint. I can move it anywhere else I want to after that. You can do delays, hitch and go right, left, cuts, 90 degree, 45 degree. Or you can end the route on a curl to the left or to the right. And that kind of goes inside with the very top option, which is just get open. That means you just want to end the route as is. But we want to do continue the route. And here I can kind of go like, maybe right here, I get. I don't know. It's just however you want to do a fade route. Maybe I want to do an extra shade 2.5 yards to the left. As you see at the very top, 1 square equals 2.5 yards. Okay, now I want to end the route. I just want him to get open. Okay, now we can go to our X receiver on the left, and maybe we want to have him do, I don't know, a dig route. We can do 5 yards, 10, 15. Thankfully, these are all presets, so you don't have to waste your time with them. Maybe I just want to do a 5 yards. I like the little combo right there. And so we like the combo on the right. Now, you notice the receiver in orange, the other slot receiver. Playmaker routes, those are just shortcuts to that particular player. You know, in order to create your own hot route to any player, you got to hit triangle. Then you got to hit that player. Then you got to put in that specific hot route. Well, the playmaker route, it's just like one step closer or one button less you have to press. So if you are dead set on a particular player being a playmaker, then all you have to do, according to that guide on that website, is the last formation you create, the last route you create is the route. It's going to be the orange playmaker. So, for example, say I want to do a post. Oh, now everybody went orange. That was kind of goofy. Either way, forget what I said on that. We'll do 20 yards. That's fine. Now everybody's orange. To me, thankfully, playmaker is not as big a deal in 05 as it is in 07. So don't worry about that too much. I think what you can do is go block and go. No, that didn't work either. I don't know. That's something I'll have to look into. Okay, there we go. So now that was technically the last last route I created in this play, and he became the orange route. So it's something you have to work around. This isn't a big deal to me, but if you're dead set on a playmaker route being a specific one, then just make that route last. Okay? Now what you can do is you can test the play. Let's see. I think they're going man here. And this may be a touchdown. And there we go. Not a bad little play. You know, little combo right there on the far left. Standard pass plays in this game work great. The options are endless for that type of thing. You could do package plays. You could do screens on the left and a combo on the right. I mean, the option is yours. Now, I can go ahead and tell you, you can't create RPOs because I don't think there's any default PE reads in this game. Of course, you can't create option plays just because, there was no option in the NFL 15 years ago. But so it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't sad me that you can't do that. Now, there are designed QB runs. If you go, I don't know, let's see. Here's the one that you do with a QB. You can have him sneak, which is interesting. You can have him drop 3 yards. That's pretty cool. You could do that. So we can back out and say we want to create a formation, and maybe we don't like what we see here. Maybe we want to put him at the shotgun. Or if you want to get fancy, you could put him like in the pistol. And I think you can move this guy back one. I mean, you have to kind of test how far these guys are. So we can test this right now. We do QB1. Of course, this is a pass play, not a run play. But you get my point. So you go done. I don't want to rename it. Let's just go back here, break out, and edit the play, and let's test it. Now you got a little pistol if you want to do that. You know, it's kind of up to you how you want to do it. And it looked like the snap looked halfway decent. When it comes to creating pistol run plays, you just got to get used to the running back depth, the quarterback depth, little stuff like that. But all in all, you kind of get an idea of what you could do on offense in this thing. The options are pretty insane. Again, if you want to do something weird, if you want to create a wide receiver reverse, go find an existing wide receiver reverse play and then work off of that. Play action's the same. I was told that screens are kind of the same way. There could be some other things, but you get the idea of what you could kind of do with this. Okay? And then once you're done, say you've created 40-plus plays, and you've set up your playbook, and you go to Preview Playbook. Here is where you can go, and I can rename this formation, but now, see, I only got one play in this formation, so it's going to show this. But if I wanted to move these around, say, let's pretend we got 3 separate plays here. You can move these around, which is really nice. I've always wanted, like my left, like in NCAA 06, I'd love to have all of my left hash plays on the left side as opposed to on the right, and so on and so forth. So this is pretty cool. You'll see a lot of people put their run plays in the middle and so on and so forth. I thought that was pretty neat. So once you're done with all that, you just save it and you're good to go. That's kind of all there is to it. So I'm going to go out here. I don't want to save it. Now we can go look at the defense a little bit. Now, I've been told, according to that website, that you got a lot more flexibility with your defense. One thing I probably should have mentioned was, on offense, you can have as many as 5 wide receivers. You can have, I think, up to 3 tight ends, 2 fullbacks, 2 running backs. Little stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Pretty standard stuff. Nothing really crazy. You couldn't put, I don't think, 5 tight ends if you wanted to. That type of thing. But it's pretty standard. So if we can go back, go to create a playbook, and go to defense. Now, this is going to be a little bit new to me. I haven't fooled around with this too much. So we're going to learn about this together. The cool thing with this is I can see how it would be very beneficial if you worked off an existing play. Now, one example that just came to my head was like my quarters coverage. Anybody who's watched my dynasties, I love the run quarters, at least in 06. Now, we can look and see if this is going to be interesting. We get 14 sets to work off of. That's interesting. Let's go and add a play from like the 4-3. Okay. There are no team defensive playbooks. They're all either every 4-3 team has the same 4-3 playbook. So I'm just curious, do they have, like here is, let me go back. This is 4-3-4 normal. I want to go to 4-3. And I do not see a quarters, 4 deep quarters. Okay, let's select that play. Let's back out. Let's go to create a play and go 4-3 normal and select 4 deep quarters. I want to edit the play. Now, what I don't like of what I'm seeing here is that in quarters coverage, your outside linebackers need to defend the short field. Here they look like they're defending 10 yards off the line. So maybe I want to go to this outside linebacker here. I want him to do a flat zone, maybe a hook zone. Let's see what that hook zone. That's a little bit better. Let's see if we can do a flat zone. We're going to do a flat left. That's interesting. Curl flats. QB spy, man coverage, blitz. Let's do just another flat zone. Let's leave that as is. And I guess that's all you could do with it. maybe I want to do the hook zone instead. That's a little bit shorter. So the other one I can do is this guy right here. We could do a hook zone like that, and it's a little bit better. Before they were an extra 5 yards back. Maybe I want to move this corner back deeper. Maybe that's as far as he goes, which is fine. I'm okay with that. And maybe this middle linebacker, I can do something a little bit different. We could do a deep zone. Or we could do a flat zone, left or right. Let's do a right. Maybe you want him, that's a little bit shorter. It just kind of depends on how you want to deal with it. And then you could just kind of test a play and work off of that, which is pretty cool. Now, one thing I wanted to try, let's go back and what if we try to do, here's cover 2. I wonder if Tampa 2 is in here. I'm just trying to think of an example of another play that may not be in here. Like there's a cover 2 looks, oh, that's at a 3-4, no wonder. Let's go to 4-3. Let's just look at their cover 2 zone. I don't think they got a Tampa 2 maybe somewhere else. There's a cover 4 buzz. Now, there it is. That cover 4 looks a whole lot better than what I was seeing before. So that would probably be my base quarters. But I'm just kind of looking for a base cover 2. Here's a cover 2 stunt. Of course, your defensive linemen are doing some stunt work there. I was just selecting, I don't want to do a spy. Let's do a basic cover 2. And we can go back and then go to create a play, go to that formation, and go to cover 2. And you can rename it whatever we want. We could call it Tampa 2. And say I want to go to this middle linebacker and do like a deep zone. That's Tampa 2 right there. So that's pretty cool that you could create it the way you need to. Now, maybe I want to have this guy going defensive end. Let's see. How does that work? Man coverage. Do a blitz. Right? Left? Yeah, maybe I want him to do that. That makes sense. Okay. And maybe I want this guy to do blitz middle. Yeah, that looks normal. So anyway, you kind of get the gist of here. Then you just go test a play and see what happens. You know, pretty cool stuff. There's not a whole lot you can do with it, but I think the flexibility comes with creating a formation. Now that's pretty wild. That's cool. You can put him in the box. I see what that is. I think what this means is you can't put this outside linebacker beyond the red zone. Like we can try it. And he becomes, this is the box, I guess. That's pretty, I'll have to look into that, what that is. That's pretty cool, though. That's a right end. I want him to be my left outside linebacker, or right outside linebacker 1. And I'm creating something from scratch, which is my fault. That's probably why I'm messing this up. It's probably the same thing on defense as it is on offense. You may just need to create one. Like, here's, let's go 4-3 normal. They still have him as a right end, which is interesting. Either way, you can move him out and have your nickel be your CB number 3. Let's do that. And you can see diamonds and triangles. That kind of makes a lot of sense. Now, you can also, you could put him as, so you can have 3 strong safeties on the field. You can have 2 free safeties, 4 corners, multiple outside linebackers. You can have 3 middle linebackers on the field if needed, 3 defensive tackles, several defensive ends, and so on and so forth. So we can have these guys just going all the way back. I mean, you could get really fancy with some of this stuff. Move him back, whatever you want to do. Okay, and I think that kind of covers everything. So hopefully this gives you a rough idea of what you could do. And going forward in future videos, I just may break down a particular concept, like a certain plays that I can't do in 06 or in this game that I just want to show you here, that type of thing. And then over time, I may create my own playbooks that I could share with you all in some form or fashion. Who knows? The possibilities are endless with this thing. Okay? All right, guys. Hope you enjoy that. And the next video looks like it'll be a Murray State Dynasty video. I think we're playing Purdue next. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully this weekend. I'm thinking Sunday probably. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.